gavel, but we're back. It's me, JB Taylor, Kendel Grooms, and our first guest on I Hate Real Estate. Please welcome Marquise Lovelace.
What's up? What's up?
So happy to have you on the show.
I appreciate it. We were supposed to do this last week, but, life getting in the way.
Real estate. So that's what happens. And Kendel and you have met this morning. Kendel is an esteemed real estate attorney. So he'll mess you up if you mess up.
Let's hope I don't ever need you anytime soon.
I hope not as well.
No, if you're coming on this show, I was thinking that this morning. I'm like, what if I invite someone on the show and then they walk in, they're like, oh shit, that guy.
Or they're like, this guy sued me before.
Yeah. Oh, I owe him a lot of money. No, so I'm going to have to check with you on my guest list.
For real. Mm-hmm. I'm new to the game, kind of, so I know I haven't had to use an attorney anytime soon.
Well, this is actually a favor to you. So having you on the show is exciting, but it's a favor because I wanted to introduce you to Kendel.
It all works out. It all works.
If you ever need anything, boom. Also, if you need any real estate, don't call Marquise or we'll have a problem.
All right.
So starting on this week, I Hate Real Estate. We're going to showcase a story from your recent history, my friend.
Yeah.
So jump on in, tell us, and let us kind of forensic files this baby for you.
Forensic files? Okay.
Yeah, this is basically forensic files for real estate cases. The deal is dead, but we're all alive here to talk about it.
Absolutely. Well, I love my clients. I'll say that. I love the clients. They were great people. It's the things that happened along the way that was, it was just ridiculous. So I met them last year at an open house. Followed up with them, got to know them a little bit better, pushed things off around the holidays, and finally got to the point where it's like, hey, we're ready to sell and we're ready to buy. Cool, great.
Double client.
That's what it was. And it was my biggest transaction on one side to date. So
how long, just for context, you've been in about 2 years, 3 years?
If you wanted to go technical, about 28 months,
He gets technical.
You see what I'm saying?
It's in the details.
About 28, 29 months. So 2.5 years almost. They were great clients. They were good, very personable, and they weren't first-time home buyers, which is a plus. But they had never sold anything and never bought at the price point they were buying it. So, all right, great, cool. We ended up looking at the house that they were interested in buying. New construction, thought it was great. Let's make a move on it. Well, they prolonged it for like 3 weeks, and somebody else came in and tried to put an offer in on it. Mm-hmm. Well, this is where it got interesting. My clients thought that the other agent had done some underhand shady stuff to commandeer another buyer in the process of us trying to figure out and work the deal together.
Was it the listing agent having another buyer that came in, or was it a separate buyer's agent?
Separate buyer altogether.
Okay, we're a dual agency state. You never know.
Yeah, we are. But they thought they were fishing for other people to try to, raise the price because it's a seller's market. They wanted to net the builder.
Okay. Mm-hmm. I have a buyer. Yeah. One of those.
So, and we were supposed to be like a 1-for-1 swap. So I was supposed to help my clients buy their house, and she had a client who was looking to buy the house they lived in. It's supposed to be easy. Well, it stopped getting so easy when the other client bought the new construction house and we lost out. So we had to scramble to find a whole nother house.
And they're buying that house.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
It got real hairy. So the wife, my client, she was pissed. She was mad. She was like, we feel like they just screwed us and we were supposed to be buying their house, supposed to be an easy deal, blah, blah, blah. I was like, yeah, but you know what I'm saying? We can find another house. Let's make it work. And so we started scrambling. I'm looking everywhere. And as you know,
for context, there's no houses here.
None.
Yeah.
Inventory is so low. It was actually a property I had sent them before, but they wanted new construction. So I just kind of afterthought at the house. Well, we actually went and looked at it this time around, and it was perfect. It was a little outdated, but the bones and everything about it was exactly what they was looking for. So put in an offer. We negotiated for a little bit. I got the deal worked out. So I thought everything was good at that point. The agent on the other side was fantastic. She was super sweet. Kept me in the loop regardless of whatever was going on. As the transaction went along, shit just got hairy because we were still selling their house. Still, they didn't want to really give up no concessions. I gave up nearly $3,000 of commissions to help them out, and in hindsight,
I just feel like I should be able to push a button that says like, remember the title of the show? Yeah. I'm sorry, continue.
In hindsight, I don't regret what I did. By any means. I don't regret it.
Sometimes it works.
And it did work. And I was looking out for my clients just like I would look out for anybody. So, but it was the nitpicking about it. Well, they trying to do this, they're trying to do this. Like, it's not that bad. Like, y'all sold it at the top of the market. After it appraised, we got exactly what we was looking for. Hell, I spent most of the money. Y'all still got a check at the end of the day. I got a check too, but I was a lot smaller than the one they got.
Yeah.
But, I did it because if this had fallen out, everything would have fallen out.
Right.
And it was already in the midst of trying to make a move. So I was like, fuck it, just a couple $1,000s. And it didn't come out of my pocket directly. It was out of the commission.
Right. Plus, you were going to go purchase on the other house. And a lot of times what people don't know, and I'm sure you hear this a lot when you're dealing with complaints that come through, is real estate agents have the ability to kind of negotiate their commission on one side. Mm-hmm. And when they have a listing client, a lot of times it's easier because on the buyer side, they're getting paid by the other seller.
Exactly.
So
it was good. And I knew that the totality of it was going to be a whole lot more than what I gave away.
Referral base, all of it.
It was good. Well, when we got to the closing table, numbers started messing around again. It's like we had to pay like $300 to Terminex for a letter of clearance. Like, goddamn, Terminex, y'all high as hell. Like, don't nobody really like y'all that much, but y'all finna charge an arm and a leg.
Well, shit, we know Terminex is not going to be a sponsor. No. Let's go back to no names. But also,
I'm joking.
I love it. It's so funny.
Hopefully you weren't negotiating with them for a
Yeah, hope not.
No, I wasn't.
Well, I'll give you referrals for somebody
better.
But it was good. We worked it out from there. We closed. Now we still got the hurdle of buying the new house. Well,
I knew that we weren't there yet because you hadn't fallen. There's been hurdles, but you hadn't done the one where...
See, selling the house wasn't that bad. Like I said, once we got it done, it was cool. It was a lot of, frustration with the people itself, but the transaction itself wasn't bad. Not until we started buying this other house.
Marcus, it's always the people.
My law partner likes to say that when something gets snake bit, it stays snake bit. So we can see where this is going.
And they don't like her at all. They said she can never, ever do anything with us. We hate her. Basically, the bad blood all the way through. And, I didn't look at it the way they looked at it, but everybody's perception on things is different. So moved on past it. It is what it is. Well, financing fell through a little bit on purchase.
Financing, not a little bit, just a little bit.
Fell through just a little bit.
It's in not this market, there is no little bit.
And it's not that they didn't have the money. That wasn't the case at all. It was the structure of the loan that was the problem. Somebody got fired behind it, from what it sounded like. Somebody got fired behind this, and they had to get escalated to the top of the food chain. They even fucked it up from there too.
Somebody called Kendel. It finally got so bad.
I was like, come on. Well, we tried to get a delayed, not a delayed document, but an extension. Well, the sellers weren't really keen about extending the property. It's like, well, we did this, we did the repairs, we did that. And they actually, they did all the repairs but one thing, because they kind of like skated over it regarding the roof. But that's another story.
No big deal. Just the cover of the house.
Just the roof. Just
skated on the little roof.
We're cool if water comes through the roof.
Yeah, I know a story like that. I've got a story for you. Continue.
Oh my God.
We'll talk about it next week.
So we get to the part of trying to ask for a couple extra days to close. It's like, no, that is not happening. The house is paid for. They moved. They ain't lived in the house in a few years. Don't nobody care. But you guys want to extend the closing? All hell broke loose. I'm talking about pandemonium. I don't get it.
I can just get a new offer and wait another 45 days. So I don't know why you're so.
These motherfuckers was crazy. Like, y'all ain't had nothing sold
I
in
knew
2 years.
I knew it.
In 2 years or more or longer than that, y'all have not sold this house. I don't even live here. Y'all have already done something else somewhere. But they was hard pressed on that closing date. And what was a miscommunication was I had sent a closing date modification to the agent, but it got lost in the mail. It got lost in the email. She said she didn't get it. I was like, whatever, cool. I can't say that she didn't.
Simplicity has a COA. In case anybody's wondering, call the certificate. I'll let you talk about that.
That probably would have smoothed things over, but it was neither here nor there.
It was for sure not there because she didn't get it. So
well, it was there from my sent.
Yeah,
so I know I sent it.
Yep.
But if she said she didn't get it, who am I to say that she was lying or whatever? Well, we get past that. So the client, her sellers want us to pay a per diem and part of the utility bill for inconveniencing them asking for extra days.
This is starting to get really salty.
Yeah. And I'm just like, bro, we just asking for a couple of days.
And so now you're getting upset because you're getting nitpicked on this side because...
I'm getting it from all ends. Mm-hmm. I'm having to smooth over with my sellers, with my buyers, trying to make sure the other agent is in getting screwed by her sellers. Because she told me they had extensive conversations of like, this is not fair, this is not right, I can't believe this. I'm like, lady, we just asked for a couple of days to extend the closing. Y'all still gonna get paid? What's the big deal? All because we inconvenienced her because they had the utility scheduled to be shut off at a certain date.
That's just a phone call.
That's all it was.
These are the inconvenience damages.
Yeah, what happens though if someone terminates like the day before closing over something like this though? Because that is a curious question. What if the seller had not gone through and just been like, okay, what if they, and I don't, we can get to the end of it first, but I'm curious what happens if you could probably sue.
It depends on
them,
the contract.
Yeah.
Well, see, that's the other part about it. So I had just done a transaction. I had the seller on another transaction somewhere else, and my seller wanted to terminate because of the conditions of what was going on with the deal, and we couldn't. And now I got the buyer, and it seemed like the whole transaction was different now.
Yeah, because
and it was
you're on
the same guidelines though. But like I said, my seller wanted to terminate, and the buyer did not. It's the same thing. I had the buyer this time. Sellers kind of wanted to terminate if we couldn't come to an agreement on the terms of the per diem and utility, whatever. But it just felt like it was a totally different transaction because the rules didn't line up. I was like, what the hell is this?
So
that's one of those things, that's one of those things that is always irritating. It causes more phone calls that I get than just about any other real estate thing, is this whole mutual termination that is required under the contract. Is that one party wants to terminate even if they have cause to terminate under the contract, and the other party just won't sign the termination. And if you're a seller and you've got a property listed, well, all of a sudden, can you go sell it to somebody else? Can you put it under another contract because these buyers won't sign the termination? I get that phone call all the time from people.
So then what's the correct way to go about it?
That's situational. I mean, it depends on what it is. I usually tell people that if you have damages in a lawsuit, if you cause someone to not be able to close, like a seller, for example, and then that seller sells the property for less than what your deal was, their damages are the difference in the two sales price.
Right.
And so I always tell people you've got a duty to mitigate your damages in the event that a lawsuit does ultimately get filed in this. Go ahead and start taking backup contracts, but make sure that you sign every contract as a contingent contract. Well, then when you do that, the problem is that that's also, in a way, artificially going to create damages, because you're not going to be able to get as good of an offer if you're telling people, hey, we've got a legal dispute over here as far as this other contract being terminated, but we want you to go ahead and sign a full price offer in the event that this all finally gets cured. And people are not going to do that.
Nobody wants a house that's involved in a lawsuit. I mean, that's just the bottom line.
It's stupid.
But what's crazy is, and this is where kind of like, I know in the market, I've dealt with this as well, where the seller's just like, I'm done. I don't want to deal with this buyer anymore. I just want to terminate. And in Arkansas, it's really, the law's not on their side. I mean, technically the buyer has to be the one who terminates the deal based on financing or repair, whatever contingencies are in the contract. But if the buyer performs on their end, the seller cannot just be like, I changed my mind. Now, clearly they will try.
So that's where it got tricky, because if we wanted to prolong it and close until we actually had the contract, I mean, the loan secured and everything was good, we could have. But when people are talking about threatening lawyers and getting this involved, and like, in hindsight, just spending a little bit of money on the front compared to spending maybe thousands of dollars on the back end. So it was one of those things that you got to be a problem solver. As an agent, we ain't nothing but problem solvers and counselors. That's all we are all day long. And I had to a little bit of a pain versus pleasure. How bad do y'all want the house? We can drag it out and take it from the perspective they can terminate, and that's both parties decide to terminate, or we can be getting yelled at and fussed at, and the other agent can have a hard ass time for the next 2 weeks. And I wanted to make it easier on everybody. So figure out the per diem, how much the utilities cost. It was less than $1,500.
Move on.
You know what I'm saying? It was less than $1,500 compared to whatever lawyers or whatever.
Was there earnest money involved?
There was not.
See, this is a whole other episode that Jamie and I are going to do about the earnest money non-refundable deposit issue.
I hate that.
Well, see, they didn't even want a non-refundable deposit. We were willing to do a non-refundable deposit for more.
Well, they're all pointless.
Yeah, but that causes even more problems when there's money on the table that somebody's going to be like, no, I get my money back, and the other side's going, no, you've caused these problems. I get the money. I've seen more money spent over a $500 earnest money deposit than.
And it's the dumbest thing.
Yeah,
It's pride.
Ridiculous.
This whole thing is pride, though. This from start to finish. It's like people's pride gets involved with, I know I'm not living there, but you cannot move in. It's just.
It was a dick measuring contest for sure. And
I lost.
I didn't think I lose because I only had to spend a couple $100. So did they. But in hindsight, it was a whole lot more stressful to keep going with the transaction how it was on course to go compared to the way I kind of made it all work.
Right.
So I was like, man, I ain't got no hair as it is, so I don't need to lose what I don't got. And
And the moral of the story is this is supposed to be a simple transaction. Every real estate transaction is supposed to be simple. Jamie said it multiple times on this podcast. It's a checkbox form. You hand it to the title company. They set up the escrow. Everybody does their inspections, things you're supposed to. I mean, it's all set up. It's supposed to be simple.
Supposed to be.
What you just said is the truth of it, and that's why I hate real estate has become to be, I think a fun subject to talk about, because that is so frustrating to get into your position. He knows the contract. I know the contract. You know the contract. These people fighting with each other over things at the end of the day that didn't matter.
Minimal.
They all got the house.
Yeah.
Everybody's alive and well. That's really what matters at the end of the day. But problem is people lose sight of that in the middle of the real estate because their expectations and reality are two different things.
That's it.
Thanks, HGTV.
Yeah.
And the only contingency we had was met. We have no other contingencies. The contingency that was set on the property was met. Didn't have anything else to worry about. But the only other leeway that they had was the closing date. The closing date was the only thing that changed. And from what I was told, closing date is an estimate or speculative.
I think it's speculative to a point, though, right? I mean, unless you have a closing date modification in agreement, I think you have to stick to that date.
But then you still can't terminate unless both parties agree, right?
That's right.
True.
And that's where that's why I
see what I'm saying?
say the mutual termination thing causes an issue, because what if somebody holds over and doesn't close on the closing date, but there's no modification?
What
and
if they get
this
sick
buyer,
and they get up in the hospital and they wanted to sign, but they couldn't?
The buyer still wants to close, but the seller wants to move on because you didn't close at the right time. What do? I mean, it's a conundrum. And the only scenario is to get lawyers involved at that point, and then everybody loses on the transaction, except the lawyer.
Yeah. I was about to say, Kendall's about to get one of these great cases. I know of one that happened too, where the seller just disappeared. Just fell off the face of the earth. Never showed up to closing.
And I don't get it. And again, like you said, it's over nothing. It's usually over a couple $100.
It's usually a little thing.
It's a couple $100.
The other problem that exacerbates this, though, is you have this mutual termination issue, but you also have in the real estate contract form that time is of the essence in every real estate contract. And Arkansas law has been interpreted to say that means if you don't close on the closing date, you're in breach of your contract. But then what does breach do for you? There is no provision in the form real estate contract that says if you breach the contract, it's automatically terminated.
Right.
It's still this mutual termination at the option of one party or another.
Which kind of leaves things out there open, almost like a zombie foreclosure that can just come back later and be like, remember that executed contract?
Yeah.
I'm back. You're
You
living
just
in
used the
my
word.
house.
I've never heard extrabate. How'd you say it?
Exacerbate.
Yeah, I won't be using that in my vocabulary. I can't even spell it.
It means it makes something worse. It enhances the situation, makes it worse.
Oh, okay.
Irritated.
Yes.
Yeah, I think the foundation problem we were talking about on the episode prior was like a $2,500 issue that turned into like a $20,000 issue because over time they just get worse.
Yeah, it wasn't addressed.
I had something like that too. It was.
Well, you can save it for another day.
I will. But this one though, when we finally got to agreement, we had to spend less than around less than $1,500, and I pulled out some money in my account. Said, "Here, y'all, I'll do this. Part of this was my fault. It really wasn't, but I should have followed up a little bit better on the closing day modification to make sure everybody was on the same page." Well,
you could have mailed it.
Well, it would have got there if I'd done that.
Yeah, you could have. Then you would have at least had a COA.
Oh,
just kidding. Kendall's about to tell you there's a COA in there. Form Simplicity is your best friend.
Hey,
I signed it. Oh, really? That's funny because.
But they didn't sign it though. I signed it. The listing agent had not.
I know. That's what I'm just saying. Like when she's like, it got lost in the mail. Like that's funny because Form Simplicity says it was sent.
Oh, gotcha.
They have a forensic. We have forensic.
If you use the electronic.
Yes. Yeah. Well, there are surprisingly some people that refuse to e-sign.
Okay, so this is the thing. So what I do is I don't ever re-CC the agent to get the contract directly. I'll make sure all of my people have signed, and then I send it to them. Mm-hmm. I don't ever have Form Simplicity send the document to them to where they can download it or whatever. Which I probably might.
This is totally a subject for another time, but I will say that what I've started doing is I send it, and I used to get annoyed when agents would do this to me because they would send me something, I open it, and it has a signature for me, and it's an offer on my property. I'm like, rude? How do you know if I'm accepting it? That's acknowledgement. But at first I was like, that is rude. Like, I'm not just going to accept this. How do I know what my client thinks?
You're going to sign. You're going to sign on the dotted line.
Yeah.
Hey.
So
I tried that. Actually didn't work.
Yeah, that's true. It didn't work. We haven't worked a deal together yet. So
anyway. Oh, this close. But back to this one. So the week of closing.
Oh my God, there's more. It's worse.
We're wasting time here. He needs to finish this story.
So the week of closing.
Yeah, no.
The week of closing, we went 2 weeks, and it's right before we're supposed to close. Financing was still an issue because they was using a very specific type of loan, and
A bad one. Sorry.
it wasn't the loan. It was the lender. It was the lender, and that's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
So y'all threw me all off right there.
Sorry.
Well, there was a contingency on a general addendum that we had that if it doesn't secure with the loan, they'll just pay cash for the property. We took that out. We took that part out of it. He
That's
said
right.
we don't.
You said
We don't.
contingency's off. That's right.
We took the contingency as if it doesn't close by X date, that we'll fund it a different way. Well, we ended up funding it that way because they didn't want to lose the house. Scrambling back and forth, making sure names was right on here because of implications that would happen negatively affect them on from a financial standpoint, from tax liability. I'm talking about 6 figures in taxes with the way they was using the money. And it went back and forth. I'm like, dude, y'all are making
got complex quick.
it got crazy. Both closing at the same title place, and I'm on the phone. I'm telling one person this, and they call back, no, change that. I'm telling this person again, okay, this is how it's working. No, change that too. I think I did that I talked to the same people for 24 hours, probably 50 times between text messages, phone calls, and emails. Bro, I'm one person. Like, what the hell? Like, I feel like I'm doing 5 transactions in one.
He's gone from being counselor to now he's like tax advisor and accountant and all of these things.
Man, I lost my shit for a second. I had to go talk to my dad for like an hour. Like, bro, I can't do this.
Well, I think it's funny because all this and this fool is a Marine.
I'm guessing there's still more.
I'm just to tell you, real estate is just not for the faint of heart. But continue.
No, it's not. And people think this shit's sweet, and it's not. It ain't sweet.
Yep. So you finally get it closed with cash?
We finally got it closed with cash. They wired the money, got it closed.
Money talk.
Everybody was happy. And then all of a sudden, the sellers go from being from being dickheads to being sweet, and sent a bottle of champagne to my clients. Like they did shit wrong.
I'm sorry, by the way, we sent this to your vacant house that you can't live in. Listen, that right there is why I hate real estate. Say it.
That's why I hate real estate. But there's a bonus. There's a bonus to this.
Oh, God.
There's a bonus to this.
You brought me champagne? What's the bonus?
I still got the champagne they gave me from the LRRA thing. So if you want that, I can bring it down.
He brought you chicken.
That's true.
I did.
We can't say any names. But.
For the record, it's the Lord's chicken. Sorry.
So they actually also were using a referral I had to renovate the house. Well, budget went from a small number to a big number because they wanted to add additional things to the renovation budget, like painting. Instead of painting one level of the house, we're gonna paint the whole house now. And obviously, when you start painting per square foot, the price goes up, especially when you add 2,000 or 3,000 more square feet.
You don't say.
So, like I said, it started about 60, went to about 100. And my client, my referral is a good friend of mine because he's doing properties with me. And he's like, Keith, man, I think I'm going to have to terminate trying to do this deal with them. I was like, why? He's like, man, I just don't think it's going to be a good fit as far as a client goes. He's like, I'm already shying away from taking on new clients. I was doing this. I thought it'd be pretty simple and easy on top of everything else I got going. But I've dealt with people like this before, and it'd probably be better for me just to walk away from it from a sanity level. And I was like, man, do what you got to do. I can't do nothing about it, So he talked to him, and my client texted me. He's like, oh, we got fucked. Your boy said he's not doing the job no more. I was like, for what? And he explained it to me after. He's like, man, we feel like he was incentivized on trying to do the work, and that's why we bought the house. So he felt like y'all was kind of in cahoots. I was like, oh, bro, no, really? It didn't surprise me.
And now he's like, no wonder my friend fired them.
Yeah.
It didn't surprise me because they had done something like that before.
Keith, after you're done bending over backwards for us.
You remember what we just talked about a little bit ago about how all this stuff happens during the course of this transaction? And now he gives us an example where it happens afterwards.
Yep, perfect.
And he's like, man, he fucked us. I was like, no, he didn't, man. And I tried to narrow it down and not be so blunt with it. It was like, it's y'all's fault. But in reality, it was their fault that he decided not to work with him. Mm-hmm. And it all correlates because I talked to a gentleman, a dentist, like a week ago. and he had a client. He's a very high-end dentist. He's specific cases only. He had somebody come in there, very, very high net worth individual, was willing to pay 4 times the amount of money to do the work, but he still denied her as a client. He's like, man, my sanity is worth more than that. And it correlated. I was like, man, if that's how you wanted to feel about it, go for it. Because I'm sure y'all have gotten cases that you just decided not to take clients because you know how the client's going to be.
I don't have to worry about that because I trust Kendel, so he takes on the cases and I got it. I'm just, you know, he's particular about that. But the thing is, you touched on the point of why this whole thing works the way it does for all of us. We hate real estate in the principle, like, yes, when it's going well and what it provides, economic opportunities. We've talked about this before. But the main issue is that people lie, or people are high maintenance, or some issue is covered up. Some bad underside of the industry is hidden from you in that moment, and then you don't find out till it's too late, and then Kendel comes to save the day.
That's it. And it's always 3 sides to every story. It's your side, they side, and then it's the truth. You know
there's how
reality.
it happened.
It's reality.
Yep, I would say there's how it happened, and there's how you think it happened.
That's
They're
it.
2 different things.
And so, like I said, I try to smooth it over as best I could. I don't know where it's going to go from here, but
It seems to me like you should send them a bottle of champagne. That's their love language.
Yeah.
I'm going to send them some wine. They like Cabernet wine.
I think they've done enough of that. I'm sorry.
That might help. Yeah.
See, he's gotten to know these people well enough. He knows what type of wine
I know
they like to
everything
drink.
about them. I know everything. And that's the one thing that the military has helped me in just being around different types of people. I don't care if you old and white. I don't care if you're young and black, Asian in between. It don't matter to me. I can find some kind of level of commonality and really
You sure can.
flourish.
Just kidding.
You see what I'm saying? And that's just my gift, and I try to thrive in it. And just getting to know people and understanding how they work. What makes you feel good? What makes you not feel good? And, you don't ever manipulate the situation, but you try to play on their strengths and meet people where they are. It's a whole lot easier to do that.
I wish there were more people like Marquise.
Yeah, well, and I was going to say, I wish there's more people like Marquise, but you are the perfect, Kendel and I've been doing this for a few weeks now, and you're the first actual guest on the show that we're taking stories from and talking through these issues with.
Yeah.
And it's exciting for us because there are a ton of really great, ethical, fun agents out there.
Absolutely.
But it's like, come out here and tell us this stuff, because this is the stuff that's also going to help people decide, like, is this the career for me? Like, in this career, you got to decide that this career is for you, or it isn't. Like, it took me years to decide it wasn't. So, I mean,
that's the thing. This part of it, like the I Hate Real Estate platform that you got going on, it's every part of everybody's job. Somebody hates something. Ain't no job on this planet that everybody likes it from start to finish every day of the week.
that was the first question I asked Kendel this morning, because I'm not going to lie. Like, going to court with him, I basically left there. I was just like, I'm never selling another house. I'm a professional lawyer. Like, obviously I'm not. I'm a broker, but
She did sit in a courtroom for one day, of course.
One
it
day?
was amazing. A whole day. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
the best day ever. It really was kind of fun and exciting.
Yeah.
It's like you watch SVU and you think like it's going to be, he did not play the song. My point is, as we wrap up, is that I asked him that on the way in. I said, is it your favorite to go to court? And he's like, yeah, of course. Like, I went to school for 100 years and got this law degree. And now, I mean, you're younger than that, but that's the best part of your job. What's the worst, by the way? Guess I never asked you what you hate.
Oh,
I
Lord.
think we talked about it. He mentioned it a minute ago. Every once in a while, you get those full moon days of phone calls at the office, and it's just, you look down and you've wasted an entire day and got nothing done.
Yeah.
And you can't do nothing about it. You do everything that you can, and it's sometimes still never enough, not even close to being enough.
We all have a reputation to uphold.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You're going to do whatever you can to help people.
Yep.
And like I said, I love real estate. This is the only thing I probably ever do for the rest of my life in some way, shape, or form. Granted, there's 1,000 different hats to
Yeah,
wear
it
with
touches
real estate.
everything. I was going to say you could do anything in it.
So it's not that hard, but as far as being a realtor, being an agent, being an investor in real estate, I'm gonna do that for the rest of my life. And that's it. That's the end all be all with it. And we just gonna run into shitty situations. You make the best of it. And like I said, I'm not talking bad about my clients at all, because they were great. You know what I'm saying? They helped me out. I helped them out. They loved the house. Everything worked out to the best of their ability. But it was a hard transaction as a whole. And this motherfucker made me work. This deal made me work. But I appreciate it so much because of the things I learned. I'm like I said, I'm in this almost 3 years, right? Within this 3 years, I've done some stuff that agents that have been in the business almost 20 years had never done.
And they'll tell you too, I've been here 20 years and I've never done that.
Absolutely.
But they will preface it with 20 years.
And it makes my bag, my tool bag, just that much more full. So whenever I see a situation again, I know how to handle it. I know how to move. And you don't stress yourself out about it. And you don't stress out the clients behind it. Because clients don't see what the hell we do behind closed doors. They don't know how many fires we put out on a daily basis to make sure they shit works out.
That is a true story. So
That's true in law as well.
I was about to say the paperwork and the research that goes into your site, I don't even want to know. Now, I've seen other lawyers and I've seen that that's not something all lawyers do. So you probably win those awards for being prepared and for doing that stuff behind closed doors that other people don't do. And it separates you from the pack, which is also why you
100%.
stand out. So in closing, I just want to say to the listeners for today that if you are looking for buyer-seller representation in the Little Rock area, Keith will give you the keys.
Absolutely.
I'm so glad I figured out that the trademark today
It only
is...
took you a year or so.
Listen, not my fault.
Yes, it is.
I know. I should have known better.
As she plays with her hair.
I know. I did that. I'm like, it's not my fault. It's like, everything is branded, Keith.
Oh,
Got the
absolutely.
keys.
That's
So,
another one too. Got to
yep.
brand everything.
Don't forget, we're going to take our Polaroid in just a second. We're going to keep these up here on the wall as we keep our guests coming through so we can remember when you came on the show. Also, if you need representation, if you've been screwed and you hate real estate, don't forget to give a call over to Kendel Grooms. They will represent you on the way out of that situation. Marquise, thanks for being here.
Thank
Kendel,
you.
good to see you. I'll see you next week.
Will do.
We're out. We have a gavel on the way for
Somebody.
Kendel to end all the episodes.
Hello?
You did not just answer the phone right when you pressed the microphone.
He's like, hey, somebody's calling me.
Hello?
We went over time, way over time.
That's all right.
Okay.
Yes.
I don't have a meeting until 1,
You
so.
want two of
I'm
these?
good. And you?
No, I'm good.
Okay, I'm gonna eat two of these.
You eat them.
Marquise, I can't eat 4 of these.
Yes, ma'am.
He'll give them to his client.
It's 160, but we are actually currently under contract with another agent. Are you looking for something in North Little Rock as a whole? What? How soon are you looking to buy something if you found something?
So we and I have.
Okay. Are y'all paying cash or getting financing?